Well, it's doing something different tonight. So let's get started. You guys, I apologize. I haven't been here for a while. It's Misha. We're going to talk about insulin resistance. More importantly, I want to talk about what your body uses for fuel and how it uses it. And I want to talk about fats tonight because I did a video on fats the other day. And one of the comments was, some fats raise your blood sugars. Do your research. And, generally fats do not raise your blood sugars. There are some fats that have a little bit of carbohydrate and raise the blood sugar. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about why you're unable to lose weight, why you're feeling ill, and it all comes down to our food. So welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, Goldie and Catalicious. That's I read that name wrong the first time around. Frank, you guys welcome in. Thanks for joining me. I know it's late night and I don't normally go live late, but we're going to try this out. So I want to talk about why we're sick and what's really happening, because if you're like I was, you're struggling, you don't know why you're sick, you don't know why you can't lose weight, you have headaches, you have brain fog, you're feeling sick all the time. You may have any number of these things above, and it's all linked to one thing. And that one thing is called insulin resistance. Now, I want to start off with, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a real person just like you guys. I'm a real person who is going to the doctors and trying to get my health under control and having medication after medication after medication thrown at me, and nothing was helping. So let's start off with that. How many of you guys feel like that? Put a 2 in the chat or tap on the hearts if you feel like you've been going to the doctors to try and get answers. Maybe you're fatigued all the time. Maybe you're having headaches. Maybe you're gaining weight. Maybe your joints hurt. Maybe you're having gastrointestinal disorders. Maybe you have psoriasis or edema or all of these things, and you're just like frustrated as heck as to what's going on. Why can't you feel better? And all the medications they're putting you on are not fixing the problem. So here is the problem. Does anybody here really believe, and thank you for those responses, you guys, thanks so much, that means a lot. So does anybody here really believe that you're deficient in a medication? Is that what's going on? Is that why you're sick? Is that why you can't get better, because you need more medication, you're deficient in them? The hard truth is that insulin resistance is at the root of almost every chronic disease that we suffer with today. And yet it's not being addressed by our doctors. And why is it not being addressed by our doctors? Well, there's a whole conversation about that. That's probably for another time because I don't want to get booted tonight. But the truth is that my battery's going low. So I got to find something to plug in. Of course it's getting low when I'm trying to go live. Let's see if I can find the right plug-in for it. Maybe, maybe not. Well, I might have to go off and come back on. We'll make it as far as we can. So here's the truth. Carbohydrates raise your blood sugar. Yes, some other things. Even proteins can raise your blood sugar. Blood sugar is just a source of fuel inside your body. But what's happened is that we have this, if you think of it, I want you to picture a big tanker truck. And it's got this big tank of fuel behind it that it's carrying around. And it has a really small tank of fuel right behind the cab that's fueling the truck to move. But all of that other fuel is just sitting back there being unused. Well, I've kind of jumped the gun here, but that little tank is like carbohydrates. That's what's fueling us every day. And that big tank of the fats that we need, that's stored back there and we just don't have access to it. Why don't we have access to the fat that we need to burn to have energy? Because fat gives you energy too. Because our insulin levels are so high because we're spiking them with the foods we eat. Fats are really important. Fats do a number of things in the body, but we're going to focus on tonight how fats keep you satiated and don't spike your insulin much at all. In fact, most metabolic scientists would say minimally, or they're going to count it as a net zero increase by having fats. That's why I talk about them a lot. But you have to get in the right kind of fats for this effect. And we've been told the wrong things. We've been told and sold by an industry that's trying to sell their products to us. And so you walk down these aisles, and it just really makes my stomach churn when I walk down the aisles, how angry I get at the lies that we've been told. But those Healthy fats, sunflower oil, safflower oils, canola oils, those actually have an effect in your body that can cause inflammation and increase inflammation. Now, I mentioned that sugar causes insulin resistance, so does that inflammation. Cortisol, there's a number of things that can cause that, but let's stick with the food. So, the fats you do want to focus on are fats like from avocados, olives, coconut, and yes, butter and ghee. So the fats that are in my house, I don't have any of those other fats, those canola oil, peanut oils, any of those oils. I just don't have them. If you can't squeeze the fruit and get fat out of it, it's not a fat you want in your body. And a hard truth here is Rockefeller back in the day created those seed oils as a machine oil, and then they decided, well, heck, we could sell more of it if we were marketing it as a food because it comes from a food source, but it was really made to have a high flash point and fuel machinery. And that's what they're telling you to put in your body. It's causing inflammation and all kinds of problems. Whew, I get all excited about this. So understand you have to watch the fats that you're eating. You can have them. They're not what's causing your clogged arteries. Sugar is what's causing your clogged arteries. So let's slow down a second and understand that why we have this problem. And please ask questions along the way. You guys, I get on a roll and I forget to stop and ask questions. Welcome in Cindy and Debbie and Stay True. I see all of you and I appreciate you being here. But the truth is that we have two sources of fuel for our bodies. Now, remember, if my phone dies, I'll go get a cord and be right back. We have two sources of fuel for our bodies, and we have three types of food, major types of food. So we have proteins. They're really not a fuel source, they're a building block. We have fats and we have carbohydrates. The fats and the carbohydrates are your fuel sources. But the problem is when you're eating carbohydrates, it spikes that hormone called insulin. And I know I'm going fast, but when our insulin is spiked, it doesn't allow us to use that fat for fuel. So now we're this tanker truck carrying all these fat cells around that are stuffed full of fuel, and we can't get to it because we're constantly eating carbohydrates. And this gets confusing for people too. I'm not telling you you have to ditch all carbohydrates. I'm not telling you you have to live some Puritan life and not ever have a slice of cake again or a donut or a bowl of ice cream. Although I think we shouldn't really be eating much of those. You can have them once in a while. Like, we're human. We go to birthday parties, we go to weddings, and you don't want to be the oddball out that is making everybody be like, ooh, I don't want to invite them because I don't know what I'm going to feed them. Okay. So we've got to limit the bagged, boxed, barcoded carbohydrates. Those carbohydrates, breads, cakes, cookies, rice, even potatoes, can spike your insulin 10 times higher than what normal carbohydrates are. Well, what are normal carbohydrates? Does everybody understand that fruits and vegetables are carbohydrates? Yes, they spike your insulin. But the cool thing with fruits and vegetables is there's some fiber built into them so that it slows down that spike of insulin. So, what fiber really does is that it protects you. So, it's going inside your gut and it's saying, hey, we're not going to deliver all of the sugar all at once. So, we're not going to allow that blood sugar to spike so high. And that's a great thing. But what happens is that in today's modern food environment, we have food that does not give us the nutrients that we should have, meaning that it doesn't have the amount of fiber it's supposed to have. It doesn't have the amount of nutrients it has. How many of you guys really actually believe, or let's see, how can I phrase this? How many of you guys know, that our food is not the same as it used to be? It doesn't taste the same. It doesn't look the same. How do we go from having inhaler, having a peach that's just barely bigger than this in nature to one that's this size in nature? We've modified it. How does it go that big? Hey, Paramjeet, we've taken the fiber out. Fiber makes your fruits and vegetables smaller, denser, crunchier. Now, nature put that in the food to make sure that you're not spiking your sugar so high. Amazing that We had this natural source to protect us against diabetes and insulin resistance. And we as human beings thought, ooh, we can do better. We're going to make these foods bigger, better, juicier, more delectable, more sweet, and everything. And we're going to strip away all that fiber. Who needs the fiber? The fiber that's keeping us healthy, the fiber that's keeping us from getting sick, they took it all out of our food. Even when you go in the grocery store and buy those things in your produce aisle, you're getting a lot. You know what? It just popped into my head. What's his name? Gundry. I don't know if you guys have heard about Dr. Gundry and lectins and all that. Put all of that aside. The fact is that we just are not getting the protection from carbohydrates that we need to, even when we're eating whole foods. I've had pescatarian clients, I've had vegetarian clients who thought they were eating healthy and doing everything they should, and yet they were still having a number of these issues. When they added in the protocol that I'm going to talk to you about in a second, everything started to get better. And they were like, wow, how is that happening? I don't eat packaged foods. I had one gal who bought everything from the farmer's market, didn't buy bagged box barcoded foods at all. She was still struggling with weight, still struggling with mood, still struggling with a number of things here. And it came down to the fact that the food that we get, even when we're doing our best, is just not what it's supposed to be. We're just not getting what we're meant to get, and we're getting sick. Now, how many of you have ever gone into a doctor for joints, for energy, for excess weight, for headaches, for loss of eyesight, for loss of hair, for PCOS or erectile dysfunction or memory loss or brain fog or any of that, and had your doctor tell you it's because the food we eat is defunct and we need to supplement or put back in what's been stripped out so that we can live more normally? How many of you guys have had a doctor ever talk to you like that? Because although I'm not a doctor, I worked in doctors' offices for years, and not one of them talked to their clients about all of this. Not one. What they did was they said, hey, here's this thing called metformin. Let me write you a prescription for metformin. Oh, you know what the new thing is? GLP-1 drugs. Let's give you this GLP-1 hormone in a synthetic state so that it can shut down your satiety. It can do all this stuff, help you get your insulin levels down because you're not eating as much. You're not spiking your insulin as much, and you're going to lose weight, and all of that's going to go away. That's what they tell you. But what happens on the backside of all of those things is that you've not addressed the real root of the cause. So I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who did those medications, those jabs to lose weight, and then ended up gaining the weight back, ended up feeling sick again. Hey, Lori, it's good to see you. I know I'm late tonight. They don't tell you all of that. My two biggest problems with those jabs for weight loss is this. They're causing a lot of damage in your body because they're artificially rising hormones at a level that they're not meant to be at. And your body cannot withstand that for long. So then we have people with pancreatic failure. We have people with boluses or blockages in their intestines. We have people whose thyroids are suffering. We have numbers of scores and scores of downline issues when they're given this hormone in a synthetic state at a level that's too high. So we need some GLP-1. Our bodies produce it naturally. Did any of you guys understand? Has anybody ever told you, hey, you don't have to take those jabs to artificially increase your GLP-1? There's a safer way to do it, and it's with the food you eat. You can increase that satiety. You can slow down those blood sugar spikes. You can do all of that more naturally than you ever thought, but you're not talking about it. Because the easiest thing is to write a prescription, hand it out, they get a kickback, the pharmacy makes money, boom, everybody's happy, you lose some weight. A few years later, you gain it all back, and you're like, what happened? Let's address the root cause. So what I want to talk about is, and I skipped over a whole bunch of stuff, you guys. This statement that it's causing pancreas damage. Anthony, there used to be in the prescriber's digital reference, there was a warning that it caused pancreatic problems. So yes, so one of the things that GLP-1 does is it's increasing insulin production and hormones from your pancreas. So it's overworking your pancreas, and that's what's causing that failure and damage to your pancreas. It has a direct effect. Your pancreas is creating those hormones of glucagon, GLP-1, and insulin. And so when you're artificially forcing your pancreas to do more work than it's meant to, it's going to cause damage. So you can Google that. I'm not here to supply all of those sources. Absolutely, go check it out. But there's truth to that. There have been a number of people with pancreatic failure. In fact, there have been lawsuits now about pancreatic failure in relation to some of those injections. So, yeah, that's. I'm not here to talk about that, but it's real. If you just do a simple research, if you do a little Google search, you'll find it. It's not a big deal. Now, it's interesting to me that in the PDR, the prescriber's digital reference, some of that complications and warnings have been changed, how they're read in that. And of course, it's because they're trying to sell these GLP-1 drugs. Now, there are substances in our foods that can increase our own GLP-1 and give us similar effects to those medications, but at a normal rate, at a normal in a way that our body is used to them. Our body is not meant to be under siege by any specific hormone 24/7. So think about it. If you're doing an injection once a week, and this talk was never meant to be about GLP-1s, but here we go. If you're giving yourself a once a week injection, that means that that hormone is pretty steady throughout the week and it's staying there all throughout the week. But if you look at hormones in the body, none of them are meant to be at that steady state. Even our sex hormones, our estrogen, our progesterone, our DHEA, and our testosterone are ebbing and flowing. They're switching places all day. Your testosterone is not at a high level all the time. It ebbs and flows. Our estrogen is ebbs and flows. Our GLP-1 should as well. But one of the issues with the medications is you inject them and it's constant in your body, and that is part of why, in my humble opinion, and is some research that I cannot name right now, but go check out this guy, Dr. Ben Bickman, who wrote this book, Why We Get Sick. He talks a lot about those things. In fact, he's done talks on GLP-1, and he's talked about how damaging they can be, and he has seen those pancreatic problems. So back to the thing. We can increase our GLP-1 more naturally. There is a food that increases it, or there's two foods I'm going to talk about. One is just a natural food you guys can go buy, and that's pears. Pears are one of the fruits or whole foods that will increase your GLP-1. And what does GLP-1 do? It helps you increase insulin to deal with the onslaught of sugars. But let's talk about that too. When we're doing it at that synthetic high level, we're creating way too much insulin in a body that's already insulin resistant. So we're going to talk about some fasting in just a minute too. But when we create GLP-1 in our body in a normal level, it ebbs and flows. It's there. It gives you some satiety. Okay, so you're not hungry all the time. It shuts down these cues in your gut. It shuts down cues in your brain. There's a gut-brain axis. It interacts with that and just says, hey, I don't need food. I've got fat. Even a lean person has fat on their body that they can use. We don't need that energy. But in most people's bodies today, we're eating so much sugar, so much of the bagged, boxed, barcoded foods that we just have sugar on our body's mind all the time. And yet, that increase in sugar is increasing insulin. The increase in insulin eventually leads to insulin resistance. And what that means is the body starts to resist the cues of insulin. So, what does that mean? Insulin is like a key to a lock on your cell. Insulin isn't really doing the majority of the work. Insulin is like, hey, cell, I have energy for you. I have energy in the form of carbohydrates. I want to unlock your cell. I want to give you the energy you need, and every cell needs energy to do its job. But in a body that's overrun with insulin because of the high amount of carbs we eat, the key no longer works. And so the cells are like, yeah, no, I'm tired of you. I'm not bringing in any more of this. And they start to shut down. So now they're not getting the energy they need. Maybe it's because there's inflammation and oxidation going on in the system. And they're like, yeah, if you give me more energy, we're going to have a problem. Maybe they're just tired of it. And so you have this thing called insulin resistance. And so what those jab drugs are trying to do is increase your insulin enough to hopefully take care of the sugar that's there. But look, when your body is in an insulin inundated state, it doesn't allow you to burn fat for fuel. So we need to get the carbs down. Fats are actually really good for you. Again, they're going to keep you satiated. They're not going to spike your sugars as high, and it's going to allow you to get off of this carb-driven fuel source of our bodies. Again, we have two sources of fuel, carbohydrates and fats. But we're running on carbohydrates all the time, and we're not ever allowed to use these fats. And when we have insulin resistance and those cells are saying, no, insulin, I'm not putting any more of that energy in this cell, where does it go? It goes right into your fat cells. So now you're starting to gain weight, especially around the belly. And you'll see this picture right here, the one over here with my dear friend with the big tummy. That was a very insulin resistant body. Her body was cueing her to store more fat around the midsection. So if you have a midsection that's big, whether you're heavy at other places or not, you're having some insulin problems. That's visceral fat. It's brown fat. All of that's another talk. But understand we can't get to that fat, whether it's in our arms, our legs, or around the midsection until we get insulin down. Insulin encourages fat storage and blocks fat breakdown. So how do we achieve that? First off, I want to say this. We're going to go back because I skipped this. This tea, so pears increase pears, PEARs, the fruits increase your GLP-1 really well. They're high in fiber. They're really good. You guys want to start affecting things and you still want to have something sweet, try pears. The other thing is this product that's a concentrated form of yerba mate, a South American tea, has been proven, this one, because it's so concentrated, proven to increase your own natural production of GLP-1 by up to 70%. That's why it keeps you satiated, why you don't have hunger cravings, why you have energy and you're able to do this fat burning through a fasted state. Oh my God, there's that word, right? She said fasting, oh God, run. No, don't. Please don't. We were never meant to eat as much as we do now. We were never meant to eat every 2 hours. All these people saying, oh, you got to eat every 2 hours and you got to do all. What you're doing when you eat is you're spiking your insulin. And the higher you spike it and the longer you spike it, the longer it takes that insulin to come down. So remember when I said bag box barcoded foods, spike your insulin by up to 10 times of what a normal amount is, that spike can last for 4 hours before insulin starts to taper back off. It takes 6 to 8 hours for insulin to come back down. This is why we talk about intermittent fasting. It has less to do with calorie counting than it has to do with hormone regulation. And what we're trying to do is get that beautiful hormone insulin that we need so much to behave and not inundate us so much that we're sick all the time and that we can actually get to our fat stores. And the timeline looks a little bit like this. When we eat, it takes about 2 hours for our blood sugars to spike. It doesn't just happen right away, okay? And then it takes another few hours for the insulin to start coming out and you to have this energy being delivered. But even after all of that energy is delivered, depending on the foods you ate, the insulin can stay high for 8 hours after you eat. And that's in a normal person. Now, if you're an insulin resistant person and you're living on carbs, it could be 10, 12, 14 hours before that insulin comes back down. And remember, you're not going to burn fat when insulin is present. But here's the other thing. There's always a yin and yang, right? So the component to insulin is called glucagon. Insulin increases fat storage and delivers sugar as energy. Glucagon increases fat burning in an effort to get glucose and energy back into the bloodstream. Fat really gives us a source of fuel, but glucagon is what's telling it to do that. Now, remember, 8 hours, right? 8 hours after your last bite of food before insulin starts to come down. Now, about 2 hours after that, glucagon, the fat burning hormone, we're going to call it that, starts to goes, hey, insulin's no longer out here. I can do my job. I'm going to come out and I'm going to tell this person we need energy, we need fuel. We're going to burn some fat for fuel. Okay. At this point, it takes a couple more hours. Then we have, so we're at 10 hours, right? At about hour 12, we have things like human growth hormone coming out. We have ketones coming out, the little messengers that are telling us to burn fat for fuel. It takes a little while for those to kind of circulate through the body. And at hour 12, those are coming out. And then about hour 14, we're set up. We're set up to do some fat burning. This is why we do a 16-8 fast. That means we don't eat for 16 hours and we keep our eating window to an 8-hour window. And we keep snacking to a minimum and we limit carbohydrates from bagged box barcoded sources and we eat more proteins and fats. Okay, this is really a quick overview. So, how do we achieve that? I've had so many people tell me I can't do it, cannot do it. I am so food addicted that there is no way I can go 12 hours, much less 16, to have this happen. Amy, so talk to me about why you feel 16-8 is so restrictive. Now, 16-8 is a great jump off point. Some people, it might be a little less. You might only fast for 12 to 14. The average is, and the research shows that a 16-8 fast does more fat burning even than an OMAD or a one meal a day type of fast. Okay. So, why people feel it's restrictive is because they're so carbohydrate driven that they can't imagine going for those hours without. Hello, Maria. It's so good to see you. I know I've been gone for a while. But that 16-8 really doesn't have to be hard. And I want to tell you, I get it. Because when I started, my son, who's a beast, he's 30 something years old, but he's a beast. And he has a home gym, he works out every day, he's in the military, and all the stuff. He always talked to me about fasting. And it made sense to me. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. But I found I could never really fast. Not for 12 hours, not for 14 hours, not for 16 hours, because I was so hungry, my body wanted sugar. Does anybody feel like that? Like you can't skip a meal because you're going to get so hungry. And then there's the misnomer of, or the misinformation of you're going to get hangry, right? You get angry because you don't have food. Well, that's a carb-driven body that starts to feel like that. When you start to regulate the carbohydrates, you don't get that hangry feeling. You'll actually find in a 16-8 fast, fasting is easy now, Maria. Thank you. But when you get off of that carb driven just inundation in our body, your body starts to feel what it really feels like to utilize energy. You have more energy, you have more mental clarity, and you're not hungry all the time, and you're not driven by needing to find something to eat all the time. So, intermittent fasting, I find, is really scary for a lot of people. And I get it because that was me. I couldn't intermittent fast. Are you crazy? I couldn't do it. I was living on chips and a Snickers bar and a soda every few hours to get my energy back up, right? Because they tell you your energy is low. You got to eat some kind of carbohydrate to get your energy back up, and that's part of the problem. It's causing more of the problem. So, how I reversed my diabetes, got my insulin resistance under control, improved my eyesight, got rid of my joint deterioration, got rid of my bleeding teeth and gums and my hair falling out and acne all over my face and dark skin patches on my neck and my elbows and everywhere and skin tags and all these fertility issues was I started paying attention to insulin resistance. In the beginning, I had no idea that's what I was doing. I just knew that I found something on TikTok that the guy was talking about a drink, two different drinks that I had at 3 points during the day. And he said, it will change your diabetes. This is what it's designed for. And so I was like, I got to try it. I've tried everything else. It has a 90-day money back guarantee. I got to do this because nothing else has worked. All the medications the doctor had me on is not working. Do you guys feel like that? You're being given medications, but it's not working, much less weight loss. Let's talk about hypertension or liver problems or gallbladder problems or thyroid problems or PCOS or erectile dysfunction or low testosterone or all these things and all those medications. You're not feeling better. The medication level keeps going up. You're not feeling any better. How many of those medications ever gave you a 90-day money back guarantee that if it didn't work for you, they would refund your money? How many ever hundreds of dollars you spent, they would give you your money back? Does anybody have that guarantee? Has anybody been given that? I never was, and I worked for doctors. I sat in on the pharma lunches, and I did the big dinners with the doctors talking about weight loss and all the stuff, and we did all of that. Not one of those medications ever offered our patients a money back guarantee. Again, I'm not a doctor. I just worked for doctors, but this product does. In 90 days, if your A1C isn't down, if your triglycerides aren't down, if your morning fasting blood sugars are not down, you'll get your money back. No questions asked. We are so confident in that now that we offer an A1C test that you can do from home, send into a reputable lab. When you start the system and 90 days later, do the test again. And if that hasn't dropped, this didn't work for me, and you get your money back. Okay. But it does work. It does work. Now, that guarantee has gone into just a satisfaction guarantee. When I started, it was blood work. Now it's just satisfaction, 90 days. You get results or you get your money back. So for me, what happened is, let's talk about the products and I'll talk about me. Oh, enough about me. So it's really simple, you guys. I start the morning every morning with this tea. It gives me energy. It gives me mental clarity. It shuts down my hunger. It makes that fast easy. Maria talked about that a little bit ago. And it just like today, I think I didn't eat until 4 p.m. I have one in the morning and then I have one again in the afternoon when I run out of the one in the morning or my energy level starts to dip or I start to feel hunger. But really what I do now is I just take both of my teas and I have a Stanley cup. I don't have one with me because it's late at night, but I mix it up in about 40 ounces of water and I keep that Stanley cup with me all day and I just sip on it. It's not something I have to chug. I don't have to chug it down right now. I just sip on it, but it keeps my energy levels up all day. It keeps my satiety up. So I'm not hungry all the time. And then I'm not snacking all the time. And now my insulin levels are under control. And guess what? My A1C was like 7.4 when I started the system. Now it's at 5.3 or less. My triglycerides were out of control. In fact, I just did a test today and my HDL number was higher than normal because I have more of the good cholesterol in my system and the bad cholesterol is down so low that it just isn't even affecting me. Again, those numbers are not driven so much by sugar, they're more, or by fat, they're more driven by sugar. And I do another talk on that later. But this system, in a few days, I was at the time working, doing mindset coaching with a great friend of mine. She was dealing with veterans with PTSD. I was dealing with women who had suffered sexual abuse, and we were helping them repattern their thoughts so they could have a more normal life. So we would have multiple meetings over Zoom during the week, and I was struggling. I had IQ tests done and I was, tested out pretty smart, but I didn't feel like that 3 years ago. I felt like I was literally losing my mind. I couldn't remember names. I couldn't remember facts. I couldn't remember anything. Within 3 days, I got my system on a Sunday. So maybe I'm wrong. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days. We had a meeting on a Wednesday because we were getting ready for our live stream talking about mindset stuff on Facebook, and she stopped the meeting. She's like, wait a minute. I got to stop this. I said, what's going on? She said, your skin looks better. Your energy is better. You're talking faster. You're not struggling with your words. What did you do different? Because this is not the woman I talked to a week ago. For me, those results started showing in 4 days. At day 6, I went into the doctor and had my vitals done because we had a doctor's appointment, so they did the normal vitals. My blood sugar or my blood pressure for the first time was near normal. Since my late 20s, early 30s, I've had an extremely high blood pressure, and more medications were being thrown at me. One of my doctors is a great personal friend, and she was terrified that I was gonna lose my life. Someone with diabetes, hyperglycemia. So Lucas, just use the profile. So in my profile link, you guys, my phone will die here soon. There is a link to, you can text me and ask me questions. I can get you the link to purchase the system, and I have a website that kind of explains it and has some um, testimonials or success stories in there. So go check out my link. It will help you out, and I'll put it in Facebook here in a minute. But all of those things got better for me. My blood pressure now, that was once 180 over 150 every single day, is now 110 over 74 every single morning. I have not had my blood pressure above 130 in over 2 years, and all I changed was doing this system. And because of the system, personally, this is me personally, I ditched 13 medications. I have no prescription medications in my house whatsoever. And I was on 13 at one point. And my health is better. And I've lost 55 pounds. And my joints are not deteriorating. And my teeth and gums aren't bleeding. And my hair is growing in. I actually cut it, but was longer than it's ever been in my life. So many things are linked to insulin resistance, and all of this is linked to that our food is imperfect. And I've heard so many doctors, Dr. Huberman is one, Gary, what's his last name? There's so many doctors I listen to, but they all talk about the fact that our food is defunct. Get Maria, I felt really bad about being gone, but just had a lot going on. The move took way more than I expected. So many moving pieces, and I'm just trying to find a place to settle in and make these lives work for me, as well as giving you guys information. I love you so much. Thank you for always supporting me, Maria. You're a gem. Now, so all of this stuff got better for me. I have a long laundry list of things that got better, so much so that my doctor called and said, "What is it again that you're doing?" Because she knew she was one of the ones giving me all these medications, and she couldn't believe, after all the years working, trying to get my health under control, that it's under control and I'm not on any medications. 2 years ago, I went in for a health survey for life insurance, and they said, we're going to be able to tell what medications you are on because we can pull that record. You have to give us. And I said, I know. Go pull my records. Go look and see what medications I'm having filled. And they did all of my tests, and they would have never, ever, ever known that I had diabetes according to the tests. And they were shocked and had to call back, and they didn't really apologize, but admitted that they found that I had not filled any medications at that point in over a year. So what does that look like? 13 medications, at least $10 a copay. That's $130 to $150 a month I was spending on medications that were making me more sick. Okay. And that's what most people are falling into. And look, even if your insurance is paying for it, but you're taking something that's not helping, but you're getting sicker because nobody's telling you what the real problem is that the way you want to go with this? Is that how you want to live your life? It's not what I chose for my life. It's not what I would choose for my family. I have grandkids doing this. I have children doing this. I have me doing this, and our health, all of us, has gotten better. I have a grandchild with some behavioral issues who was actually pre-diabetic at 11 years old, no longer pre-diabetic because she does the system. 2 teas a day. This one we didn't talk about. This one I have an old package. It's packaged like this now, but this is a pre-meal drink. It's a multi-fiber complex. This is what's giving me protection for my blood sugars. So this, when I have it before I eat, especially a meal with a lot of carbohydrates in it, it has been scientifically proven. There are studies on this particular product that show it reduced a blood sugar spike by 27 to almost 40%. Now that blood sugar spike, remember, every time you spike your blood sugar, you're going to spike your insulin. So the blood sugar spike comes down, which means you never spike your insulin as high. Now we're starting to get control of things. Throw in the little bit of intermittent fasting. Give your body a break from insulin. You're going to start finding you have more energy. You have less inflammation. You have less gastrointestinal problems. You have less bleeding teeth and gums. You have less energy problems. You have more hair growing in the right places. We have less of the skin tags and the skin discoloration and all the other issues, many of them listed here. So that's what I did. You guys, if you're interested in the system, just go to my link and check it out there. It's a tea in the morning, a tea sometime during midday, no set schedule for that, and then a pre-meal drink before your meal with the most carbs in it. Now, for me, after starting this and doing so much research on fiber and how much it does for our body, I still have 2 to 3 fiber a day. I'm 60 years old. I abused my body for years. And so my gut, I want to take care of it. My liver, my heart, all connected. I want to take care of it. I have more than 1 fiber a day. And it's as easy as this, you guys. You're just going to take this packet. And why this? One of the other reasons this is patented, there's 7 different fibers in here that are specifically designed to help that blood sugar spike from happening. There's no other fiber out there that has a matrix like this that provides these results, and that is crazy good, right? So you're just going to open your packet. This is about as much water as I use. I pour it in. It's like that. Now I want to mix this up really quick because it's going to thicken, unlike those other fibers. That's as much as I shake it. Now this is more water than I usually like, and then I drink it down. Now for me, I have some heart issues from that 180 over 150 blood pressure for years. So I get some nausea and indigestion. Ladies, if you're experiencing that nausea and indigestion, don't just think that it's your food. Yes, check your food, but it could be your heart. So check that. Now I'm going to drink this. Does not break my fast. Neither one of these products break my fast. But what's happening now when I drank this, it's going in and it's coating my stomach. Some of the nausea and the acid reflux that I experienced because of those heart issues calms that down. I don't have Tums. I don't have any of those things in my house. So again, when we look at affordability and you talk about how affordable is it? Well, for about $5 a day, I don't have 13 medications. I don't have Tums. I don't have any antacids. I don't need them. I use this. Okay. So Snyder, I have a client whose name is Mark Snyder. June, you just threw me for a loop because the same last name. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have to do. It tastes like a light orange Julius. It tastes really good. The tea has a light lemon flavor or a lemony flavor like a lemon iced tea. They both taste great. So great that my, at the time she was 4 years old, granddaughter, every time I mixed my tea, she would drink almost all of it. If I wasn't keeping an eye on my mug, she would drink it. It tastes good. If a 4-year-old's going to drink it, it tastes good. And this, my grandkids have all drank this and they've done just fine. So you guys want to know more? My phone will die here soon. I will try and be online. I think I'm going to try this 11 o'clock spot right now. And I'll come on and talk more about different things. What you guys have concerns with, if you want to have me address them, I would be more than happy to do a live on those. But just understand that our food is defunct and it's making us defunct. And when we understand that most every chronic disorder that we have today, look at the list above my head, is linked to insulin resistance. And those medications are not fixing it. In fact, many of those medications are making it worse. We've got to understand that to live a normal, healthy, productive life and not be in pain and suffering and having fatigue and brain fog every day, we need to address this. Can you drink it? Yes, Maria. So here's the thing. Like in the morning, a lot of times I will drink the fiber first thing in the morning when I wake up, just because I like what it does for my gut. Okay. But every time I eat, I drink this. And like right now, Maria, I had dinner a couple hours ago. What did I have for dinner? I had chicken cordon bleu on rice. Does that mean I had no carbs? No. I just had this with it. Okay. But right now, I'm not going to eat again until like noon, 2 o'clock tomorrow. I just like what this does for my gut. The fibers in this act as a prebiotic, feeding those good microbiome in your gut, making your gut healthier. Crohn's, IBS, all of those issues start to feel better when your gut is better. Immunologists are starting to admit that almost every autoimmune disease is linked to inflammation, and the gut is the largest internal organ we have. And when it's sick, it leaches out into every other system. When our gut is inflamed, we start having joint problems, we start having thyroid problems, we start having heart problems, we start having all kinds of other problems throughout the body. And for me, yes, I use this to help a blood sugar spike, but I also use this just to keep my gut healthy. Okay. So this is the prebiotic. Now, why does this not break my fast? Because I'm 3 hours into my fasting window and I just drank this. What happens is when this goes in, the fibers in this start to feed those probiotics in my gut. It starts to create, I call it an off gassing, and it's an imperfect term because, again, I'm not a metabolic scientist. But when the probiotics in our gut start feeding on these fibers, they create short chain fatty acids. The off gassing is called short chain fatty acids. The short chain fatty acids start cueing your body to burn more fat for fuel. So, Maria, drinking this during the fasting window can actually, what I've noticed is that my ketones go up when I have the fiber during my fasting window. So yeah, you can have it without food and you can have it in your fasting window. And what does it do? It fills up, it gels up, it fills up my gut, and it adds to that satiety in my gut. So breakthrough hunger is just gone. Okay. In the morning, I will start my day, instead of having coffee, I will start my day with this tea, which is highly concentrated, an extract of yerba mate that keeps me feeling full, gives me a ton of energy without crashes, gives me almost every vitamin and mineral needed to sustain life in this one little packet. And it's 375 times higher in some components like chlorogenic acid than any bagged or canned yerba mate you're going to find out there. In my TikTok profile, you'll see a tab called the tea. There will be a video in there by Dr. Huberman, who's a neuroscientist who talks about the benefits of yerba mate. Now, he drinks a regular yerba mate, and can you imagine the benefits he talks about in that video being amplified by 375 times when you drink this one tea? So much so, like my friend up here, she did not believe that she would be able to lose weight. Her tummy is much flatter. Is she still have some tummy? Yeah, she's in her 50s. Um, and she has an imperfect life. You guys, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do crazy things to get your health back. Understand that carbohydrates are one of the big problems. To regulate carbohydrates, we're having that problem because we're eating too often and we are not getting in enough fiber. The system addresses that. Then we're getting in energy and a number of components that our body, our brain needs with this tea. Okay, that's it. 2 real food products that I have at 3 points during the day, and I reversed my diabetes. If I was to go to a doctor today, and I've been to a doctor in the last 2 years, a new doctor, and they would not zip my lip. They would not ever say you have diabetes. Not according to my labs. All of my numbers are in great order now because of the system. And it's as simple as a couple of drinks I add to my day. I generally focus on proteins and fats when I eat. But again, tonight I made my version of chicken cordon bleu, and so I had it on rice, yum, ham, cheese, chicken, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about those carbohydrates because I just start my meal with this that helps reduce that blood sugar spike by up to 40%. Now that's how I got my insulin resistance and my diabetes and all of this other stuff under control. Because almost everything on this list I was suffering with, except for when we get to erectile dysfunction, yeah, no, or testosterone, no. Parkinson's, no. But kidney issues, Alzheimer's, I was starting to show signs of Alzheimer's. My kids were worried about me. That's all been reversed. Okay. So it's a simple, simple system, you guys. If you really want to take your health back, check the system. Maria's been here supporting. Thank you, Maria. And she will tell you it's life changing. I've been doing it for 3 years now because I never want to go back to the broken, in pain, can't think straight, hypertension body that I lived in 3 years ago. As I get older, I feel better. And it's all due to understanding insulin resistance and putting to use this. Now, before the phone dies and I hop off, I appreciate you guys all hanging out with me so, so much. You guys, I love that you're all invested in your health. But if you use the link in my profile, there's a thing called the 6 simple steps. Maria says she feels better and younger. So do I. Like I have a picture of me, maybe I'll try and bring that on tomorrow night. I have a picture of me before I started the system, and I think I look older. My face just looks different. It looks the same, but different. I look older, and my hair would never have grown to this length before. But I have a ebook that's free to you guys. You just go in, click the link, put in your email address so I have a place to deliver it. There's an ebook called 6 Simple Steps to Managing Your Insulin Resistance. I put it together for y'all to kind of put all of this information into a place that makes it easy for you to remember and understand. So those 6 simple steps, Maria, I would love to get a new picture of you, a before and after. Let's connect and get that done, because I know there's been major changes for you, like there has been for so many other people. But in my ebook, these are the 6 simple steps to managing your insulin resistance, right? You can do it on your own, and many people have, but like if you're like me and so food addicted and I just want to make sure that I'm getting in what I want, I use the system. No brainer, I'm done. But the 6 simple steps are this: fiber first before you eat, especially when you're having carbohydrates. Why? Remember why? Fiber is protecting you from a blood sugar spike. It slows down how quickly those carbohydrates enter your bloodstream, so it makes it more manageable and steady, and you're getting the energy you need without having a huge spike. Fiber first. Okay. Then you're going to prioritize protein. Protein, by the way, keeps you more satiated than any of the other 3 macronutrients. The macronutrients are carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Protein keeps you the most satiated. It will give you some energy, but it's primarily building blocks that your body needs, especially your muscles. Protein is extremely good for you. That's why people thrive on the carnivore diet, whether you're there or not. It's not my gig. I focus on protein, keeps me feeling fuller longer, doesn't spike my insulin only about half as much as carbohydrates do. And then I don't fear fats, but the right fats. So again, the fats are listed in the ebook. There's another list that you can get along with the ebook of protein-rich foods, whether you're carnivore, vegan, or somewhere in between. I have a list of foods that you can and it tells how much and why for proteins that you should be getting in. So wherever you fall on that, you'll get that too. And then it lists the fats that I talk about, which are, again, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, butter, ghee, and coconut oil. You're like, oh my God, she just mentioned all these saturated fats telling me they're healthy for me. Yep, I did. Yes, I did. Now, when you go out on the internet, you're going to find some people say, oh my God, they're the devil. And you're going to some people will say, oh my God, they're great. But you know what I listen to? Somebody who's a scientist who's looking at in the petri dish, in the human body, fat cells every single day. It's what he's devoted his life to. Those are the fats he recommends. So, fiber first, prioritize protein, don't fear fats, limit your carbs, especially those bagged box barcoded ones. Keep your fruits and vegetables, because they're carbs, the things that are grown above ground. Okay, just think about that. The other two are not dealing with food. And so the second one is time based eating. I went over it just briefly. Give your body a rest from food so that you're not spiking your insulin and those other hormones that we need to utilize can come out. You can actually have some fat burning. And then the other one is move your body. Now, a body that moves is going to be more sensitive to insulin, meaning you can use it up more. Your muscles will use up more insulin when you're using them. So it doesn't have to be crazy workouts. I'm an ex powerlifter. You don't have to go in the gym 6 days a week, 3 hours a day like I used to. Go out and take a walk. Do some jump training in place at home. Do some yoga. Do something, but get your body moving. Caveat: legs are going to cause you working your legs are going to cause you to be more insulin sensitive than any other body part. So yeah, squats, deadlifts, walking, those things help you really utilize that insulin and those carbohydrates better. But weight training, even light weight training, whether you're young or old, is really beneficial. The more muscle you have, the more insulin sensitive you can be. Okay. Yeah, it is wild, right? So just go link to the ebook, get the ebook. A lot of this is explained in there. Now, in the ebook, I added 2 little extra benefits for you guys. I'll talk about them now. One of the things is I tend to be a night owl. But we all need to do this. Understand that cortisol can increase your insulin just like food can. So, guys, you hear so much about it. Put down the phones, stop doom scrolling. That blue light just really increases your cortisol, and an increase in cortisol means an increase in insulin. Get good sleep. Limit the blue light and get good sleep. If you're not getting good sleep and you're waking up tired and you're waking up hungry, that's because your cortisol is high and it's demanding more energy from you and it's spiking your insulin more naturally. Okay. Get the ebook, all of that's in there. And if you want to talk to me, use the number, text me and ask me questions. I'm more than happy to answer. Uh, and I hope you guys have a great night. Wow, I can't believe the battery held out for this long, almost an hour on a battery I thought was going to die. You guys, it's been a pleasure having you in here tonight. There it went. The battery died. So I will see you guys tomorrow night. And thanks for joining me. It's been a great night tonight. Have a good one.